So, I realize that I'm about 7 years late onto this train, but I just finished binging Breaking Bad. And I really want to fucking talk about it. Breaking Bad is universally considered to be one of the greatest TV dramas ever made. Okay. It was created by Vince Gilligan, and it aired on AMC from its premiere in 2009 all the way up to its finale in 2013. And all 5 incredible seasons are on Netflix right now. Breaking Bad is centered around high school chemistry teacher Walter White, played by Bryan Cranston, who learns on his 50th birthday that he is diagnosed with stage 3 lung cancer. After this discovery, he teams up with former student Jesse Pinkman, played by Aaron Paul, to start manufacturing and dealing crystal meth in order to ensure the financial security of his family, consisting of his wife Skylar, played by Anna Gunn, his son Walt Jr., played by RJ Mitte, and his infant daughter Holly. As the series progresses, Walt is pulled deeper into the illicit drug trade, eventually going under the employment of drug lord Gus Fring, played by Giancarlo Esposito, and we see Walt evolve into a more ruthless, conniving human being. He would eventually adopt the alias Heisenberg, which becomes recognizable as the kingpin of the local drug trade in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And all the while, Walt is concocting lies and is consistently on the run from DEA agents, including his brother-in-law, Hank, played by Dean Norris. If someone has never seen this show before and they think that this is a lot of information to take in just from the premise, you have no idea. The shit that goes down in this series and with this overall storyline and this arc over 5 seasons, this is one of the most investing stories ever, in my opinion. Spoiler alert, friends, I love this show. Now, speaking of spoilers, this review is going to be filled with them. So, just in case anybody here has been living under a rock and has not seen Breaking Bad, pause the video right here. Go binge watch the entire series, all 5 seasons. It's on Netflix. How hard can that be? Joking, of course. Just make sure you go watch the series if you have not seen it, and then come right back and we'll talk a little bit more about it. Now, I will admit, going into it, I have neglected to watch this show for years, and so many family members, so many of my friends, everybody was telling me, dude, you gotta watch Breaking Bad. You gotta watch Breaking Bad. You have to. You got to. It's awesome. And lo and behold, they were absolutely right. And as I've mentioned, there are 5 seasons. Each one, in my opinion, builds one on top of the other and gets increasingly better as the series progresses. I'm serious. This was such an investing story, guys. More so than usual. And I feel like a big reason as to why this story was so investing was Bryan Cranston himself. If you guys are into character studies at all, watching somebody who is in a really, really good spot in life, and then everything just slowly starts to unravel for him, and by the end, he is as opposite as he was to the person he was in the beginning. If you guys are into character studies like that, this is for you. After this series finished airing, I feel like Bryan Cranston is going to be immortalized as this character forever. This is a career-defining turn as Walter White, and this performance is truly something to behold. One thing I really love is not just the performance itself, impeccable acting job here. I also really love the contrast of looks to clearly distinguish which version of Walter White we're seeing. Now, early on, before he's treated for his cancer, Bryan Cranston has a full head of hair, and he is as white collar can get. He is a super nice, very polite family man. He teaches chemistry at the high school level, but in a different way. Once the hair is shaved off, Cranston is bald, and the black bowling hat look as Heisenberg comes in. Oh boy. This is intelligence on a completely different level, and he becomes fully deranged, and he looks very menacing whenever he appears as Heisenberg. This is such a mesmerizing performance. It almost reminds me of a Jekyll and Hyde, almost. But it's not as overtly over the top as some people would make Jekyll and Hyde out to be. Thinking about the series as a whole now, one thing that I found particularly interesting was how sorry I felt for Walter White in the beginning. But then as he slowly starts to become more unhinged as the series goes on and he's more exposed to the horrific events behind the scenes of the meth industry, I started to lose a lot of sympathy for Walter White by the end. He was a true hero, and then he turned into a true anti-hero by the end. A lot of people might see that as a negative, but guess what? That's real life. Opinions can change on people all the time. It's such a raw emotion to feel for a show like this and a story like this. Speaking of fantastic casting, Aaron Paul as Jesse Pinkman. He's a character that has a very interesting evolution as well. And you know how I described me not having any more sympathy for Walter White by the end? Jesse's pretty much Walter White in reverse. He's kind of a punk when we first meet him. It's like, Walter White's teaming up with this guy? This is such an odd couple pairing, I don't exactly see it. But then as the shit starts to hit the fan, Jesse realizes that this business is not for him and he wants out of it as quickly as possible. This was truly an incredible maturation and an evolution for this character. And I really started to have a lot of sympathy for Jesse Pinkman, especially Season 5. Oh my gosh, the shit he goes through in Season 5. This is Aaron Paul, again, probably the best performance of his entire career. Also amazing casting for the family members of Walter White. Anna Gunn as Skylar I thought was absolutely wonderful. I thought she absolutely nailed it. Her acting was so good. And again, I felt a lot more sympathy for her towards the end as a lot of the starts to hit the fan for Walter. RJ Mitte as Walt Jr. or Flynn, as he likes to be called. Really nice presence. I really enjoyed his performance. Dean Norris as Hank Schrader. What a great comedic relief for this series. He had so many great one-liners throughout every single episode, as did his wife Marie, played by Betsy Brandt. Such an amazing contrast, for sure. At the midpoint of Season 5, once Hank realizes that Walt is Heisenberg, bam! This is a storyline that had been built up for quite a long time, and Walter himself had a lot of really close calls with Hank figuring out his secret identity. But once Hank finally discovers that, Dean Norris shows so much incredible range, going from comic relief to relentless police officer who will stop at nothing to get his man. And once he finally does arrest Walter White, that's when his character is killed off. It is such an incredible arc for him, and I feel like Dean Norris, when compared to the rest of the cast, is often overlooked for this performance. I feel like he needs to be commended here. This was such incredible range. All of the actors are absolutely unreal in this series, perfectly cast. Jonathan Banks as Mike Ehrmantraut is very good. Bob Odenkirk as Saul Goodman, hysterical. I need to watch his spin-off show. And last but not least, we have Giancarlo Esposito as Gus Fring. Oh my god, what an incredible villain. Now, Gus Fring, for those of you who don't know, is a fast food restaurant franchise owner of Los Pollos Hermanos. But in addition to that, he is the most conniving and power-hungry drug lord in the meth industry. And every time he's on screen, his character's presence is so intimidating, but quietly so. His composure and his capability as an actor to go from very friendly customer service to I'm going to kill your entire family. As an actor myself, I'm a sucker for subtext. The subtext in every single scene that Gus appears in just fills me with shiver-inducing goosebumps. I mean, even though he's saying certain things on screen, you can perfectly read his thoughts. And you know that if you mess with this guy, you will die. Again, a career-defining performance for Giancarlo Esposito. He is magnificent here. Now, I'm obviously giving this series so much love for the acting, but I also gotta give credit to the storytelling and the writing team behind this series. The direction from everybody involved, stellar work all around to create a super investing storyline through 5 seasons. And just how each episode and each season builds on top of the other. It's so seamless. Now, I will admit the first season isn't as spectacular as some of the other ones. Some might feel that it's filled with too much exposition, but here's the thing. To establish a universe like this, you kind of need that exposition there. Now, the exposition that I like is revealed as characters encounter things, and they reveal things about their pasts. The first season still felt very solid, very solid story. Exposition never felt bloated. And like I said, these performances are excellent. The production value is phenomenal, and the storytelling, it just builds. I mean, just everything, guys. Now, for me, the turning point of this series and where the climax is of course, the death of Gus Fring during the season 4 finale. Once that happens, everything just starts to explode. And the 5th and final season gives us the best stretch of episodes of the entire series. Like I said, the 3rd to last episode of the series, titled Ozymandias, where Hank passes away, my dad called that the best hour of television you will ever watch. Hard to dispute that. And how this whole story wraps up is so satisfying. Walter White's death in the meth lab just... I mean, this is a genius story, guys. I mean, there's nothing wrong with this show. Now, if I were to nitpick, I would say that the Season 5 villains, Todd and Lydia, who are kind of there to try to coax Walter White back into the meth business in order to steal his formula, I would say that they were just kind of there. They were not as compelling as Gus, but for the overall purposes of the story, I feel like they definitely fit, and their performances overall, as usual, phenomenal. Guys, I cannot recommend Breaking Bad enough, obviously, and I'm gonna absolutely give Breaking Bad an A+. Beautifully acted, beautiful production value, beautifully crafted story. What's not to like here, guys? If you haven't seen this show yet, the entire thing's on Netflix right now. Please watch it. If you've already seen it, watch it again. Once again, thank you all so much for joining me today. If you like what you saw, go ahead and hit that like button down below. Feel free to share this video with all your friends. What did you guys think of Breaking Bad? Feel free to voice your thoughts down in the comments section below. Also, feel free to fill those comments down below with any requests you guys have for me to review on this channel. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button as hard as you possibly can. It's really helpful to the channel, guys. I thank you so much. And as always, you guys rock. Thank you again for tuning in. And with all that being said, Back Talk, commence!